Hey there, this is Katherine Cartwright. Welcome. I have a fun video today. I'm going to be working with some products from Scrapbook.com. This was a little package, I guess a bundle I picked up. This is Lovely Bunches. There's a stamp and die set, and there were 3 glitter brush markers and also a pad of mixed media paper, which I have not tried from them before. So I'm just going to start. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this one. I'm going to start by working with the glitter pens. I wanted to show you how they work. There's this little yellow ring on each of them, and you just take that off, and then you can close the marker back up, add the top on, and then you're going to prime it. There's some buttons on the side that say, some little indentations that say push on 2 sides, and then that will allow the ink to come down the barrel into the tip. Okay, so here's this beautiful green, and there is glitter inside of it. It's a beautiful shimmer. This is the pink, and then there is a yellow. And so I've got a piece, I'm beginning with a piece of the mixed media paper pad, and it is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is a standard A2 sized card front. So it could be added directly to a card base if you wanted to, or you could trim it down to whatever size you needed. But I like having paper this size because it helps me make cards faster, because it's one less usual trim that I have to do unless I'm going to make it smaller. All right, so I'm just taking a second here to prime each of these markers, and then I'm going to lay down my color onto this piece of paper. And you can see that shimmer is starting to emerge. As it dries, it shines even more. So I just wanted to show you that in that Lovely Bunches, there are 4 sentiments, and I stamped them onto some white cardstock, and they're coordinating dies in that set that will cut these out, which I love, because that means that will help me make quick and easy cards. I can stamp a bunch of those in different colors and then cut them out, put them in a little like storage pocket, and I have a bunch of sentiments for cards, and they have a different, love you bunches, hello sunshine, thank you, and thinking of you. So a lot of great sentiments in there. Okay, I'm going to trim this down just a little bit to 4 by 5 1/4, and then I can begin finishing off this card. I'm going to stamp this with some black ink. It took a couple of times to stamp it. When you have, like a shimmer or a watercolor, sometimes it can take a little bit longer, or a couple of stamps, I should say, to get a good impression. That's just the way it is for me when I use something that has a watercolor base or something like that. So it just took another second to stamp that out. But you can see I get a beautiful image, and they're really detailed and so pretty. I used Gina K amalgam ink on that, Obsidian, one of my favorite colors and inks from her. All right, so I'm going to add this to an A2 sized card, and then I am going to add one of these little sentiment strips. So this one is a very quick and easy one that you could replicate many, many times. So that's the first card. All right, now I wanted to do a little heat embossing, and again, this set has the coordinating dies, so you can cut these little bunches out apart, which I'm going to do in a little bit. But on this one, I'm using both of the bunches. I'm kind of putting one on the left corner and one on the right corner. I'm using Versamark ink. I stamped onto, this is more of the mixed media paper, and then I'm using a gold embossing powder. I forgot to use my anti-static tool, which I usually always use and I find very helpful. And so I had a little bit stick on the sides, but I'm just going to take an old brush here that I keep for things like this and just brush off any excess gold that I didn't like. All right, so now I'm going to do some coloring with these markers, and it's going to take me a little bit of time here to do this, but with that raised edge of the embossing, it will allow you to really watercolor, so to speak, with this beautiful shimmer, and it really won't get everywhere, which is one of the main reasons I love to do it. You could also do some ink blending over this and then rub a paper towel, and it will resist that as well. So you have some options, but I really wanted to show how beautiful these markers perform with the shimmer in this kind of application. So I did speed this up a little bit, so you don't have to watch me do this the whole time, but you get the idea. And I'm just keeping it one color You could go back and lay a little bit more color in there to darken it up if you wanted to. You just don't overwork the paper too much, because this is, it is wet, and it will kind of make your paper pill a little bit if you go too crazy. But this mixed media took the color and the shimmer of this beautifully. All right, so moving on, I'm going to move to my green. I've got my flowers colored in the shades that I want, and then I will add my color to my stems. And I love all the different leaves, and so you really do get two unique bunches in here with the different kind of foliage in there. This one has a different leaf, and then there are also some little kind of sticks, so to speak, that I'm going to color in a little bit with some markers. Okay, so I'm speeding up to finish this one, and then I'm going to pick, I have another one of these Scrapbook.com markers. They often send them or have them offered as a freebie, which is so nice, and if you order, you sometimes get these. So I'm just going to kind of blend these two together. Now I started with a brush, but I really needed some water. So I've got a little piece of palette paper here that allows me to mix these colors together. You could use a piece of acetate or something too, but I just happen to have that little pad on my desk. And then I'm going to blend those two colors together to just lighten up a little bit of that green. It was just a tiny bit too dark. So I'm going to pull those two together to get a little bit more lighter green in there. I'm going to finish this off by doing the pink on my yellow flowers, I should say. I did pull out an additional pen. This is a blue, another one of those that I found, and because I wanted to kind of make those flowers popped. So I just, off camera, I started, and then it was going to take me a little bit of time. And honestly, I needed to be able to see it because it's fairly detailed and my eyes are getting a little older. And so I needed to actually look a little bit closer. Some of you may understand that. And so I went ahead and went around carefully and did the blue, which I absolutely love. And honestly, in person, this is so much prettier. The camera really doesn't do it justice. I know I always say those kind of things, but I do feel that way. I've got a light blue cardstock here that I used some word dies. I think these are also from scrapbook.com. And I just die cut those, and then I'm going to add some gems onto this card. But isn't that so beautiful? And I know exactly who I'm going to send it to. I can't wait to get this card in the mail. Now, this oftentimes is the hardest part for me, is to make a decision on a gemstone. These are most likely from Honeybee Stamps. I have quite a few of them, and I enjoy them very much. I love the size. And I found the perfect one that's kind of an iridescent with a blue tone that I think works really, really well. And that will wrap up that card. Hi, friend. All right. So I did say I was going to do a little bit of coloring. Again, I'm only going to do a little bit on screen. This is the mixed media paper. I wanted to see how it performed. I'm going to blend a couple of colors together, and I thought it did very well. So I've got some greens here that I'm going to blend together, and I had good success with blending on this card. So I'm just going to put that second color, and then I'm going to let the alcohol ink do its job, and it did a pretty good job on there. And again, I'm using YG23. And then I think the next one is YG67. And so again, I needed to get a little closer in. But I did want to show you a little bit on camera of putting these colors together. And then when I come back, you'll be able to see how they turned out. But again, I'm using that mixed media paper and enjoying it a good bit. And it has the dies, so I'm going to cut these two apart. And then I'll create 2 more cards with this. So I think I'm going to get a total of 4 cards to share with you. Just some different ideas and techniques that you can use with these markers. And then also just doing some coloring on your own. And you can see that these blend together very nicely. And I'll link all of these colors in the description because I try to put the marker cap up there where you can see it, and then I often forget it. Like you can see, I'm just holding it in my finger. But that looks pretty good. All right. So I'm going to do a little bit with the RV42 is my next selection. I'm just going to pull this in and then I'll come back with, this is going to be RV13. I'm just going to kind of run this up those little lines. They have some beautiful definition in these stamps, and then I can go on from there. And then you can see the RV42 goes down nicely, and then I get some nice blending off of the other color. And I'm just taking my time here, and I did stamp this with some Gina K amalgam ink. Obsidian is what I chose for this, and you can see that it holds up very well to the alcohol ink marker. I use that a lot for Copic coloring. And you can use, there are other brands of alcohol ink. They should work well with any kind of alcohol ink, that ink. All right, so I've got the 42 in there, and you can see there's a nice little blend with the RV13. And you can go back over there if you wish, and I'll finish these up off camera, and you can see how pretty they are when they're colored in. So I just chose some different colors. I've got some oranges and some yellows here, and just to kind of mix them up. So I made two very different looking bunches of flowers, and they are indeed lovely. And you can see all of my Copic color swatching on the side of the paper that I used. And now I will run this through my die cutting machine. I got a little tabletop machine here. This is from Diamond Press that I enjoy. I'm just going to run this through. I keep this around my table, I should say, not necessarily on my table, because I don't have tons of room, because I have a little bit too much stuff around. But look how pretty these are. All right. And then again, I've already stamped and die cut some of the sentiments. And I'm going to use this butterfly stencil from my collection, as well as this A2 card die that is so pretty. This is Geo Squares. And I've had some of these kind of lying around that I've been meaning to work with, and I decided they would be nice backgrounds to create for these beautiful bunches. All right, I'm just deciding which one is going to go on to which. All right, I've taken my card base here. I've got a white one. I have cut that beautiful background from a light purple that I thought coordinated well with that nice big purple flower that I colored. And then I have these thank you words. I'm not exactly sure which die set these come from. I'll look it up, but I know they're from Scrapbook.com. So I'm just decided to do those in black, and I'm going to glue them directly onto this background. And then I will add some foam tape to pop up my bunches of flowers. Okay, just taking a second there to make sure that it's straight. And then now I will add the piece of foam with the flowers on there to pop it up and give it some dimension. And there we go. All right, here is my next card. I'm going to use that butterfly stencil that I mentioned, and I am using Twisted Citron here. This paper, I'm pretty confident, is from Gina K. I'll find the color description in there. It's a beautiful green that I have really fallen in love with, and I'll look through and confirm which color it is and make sure I put that in the description. So I'm just doing, I'm kind of going around doing the butterflies, and I want to lift up. I don't want it to be super solid and perfect. I kind of want a little bit of some, ombre gradation on here. And so I'm just taking a second. I've got my one side taped down. I'm kind of using that as a flap so I can go back and forth. And then I'm going to finish up that other side. I will trim this down to 4 inches because I think my cardstock was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 on this, but I'm going to trim that down. And when I'm happy, I will just peel that off, and that will be used for my background. I used a circle die that I think is called Joyful. I'll link that in the description. It has the center circle, and then it cuts out that beautiful border. So I did a border around it in green, which I thought would be a nice little contrast with the flowers, but also kind of pull out some of that other green that I used to color. And I'm going to cut down a piece of foam adhesive here, and then I will add this onto my card. I'm going to put this sort of at an angle in the circle. I thought that would be kind of fun to use the the bunch in a different way, and then I'm going to put Love You Bunches on here, just kind of trying to straighten that up a little bit, and then I will go ahead and push that down when I'm happy. And this will go onto a white card base. And then I'm going to add some more gemstones, which will take me some time to choose. Again, I don't know if anybody else out there struggles with picking the gemstones, and then sometimes placement for me is a challenge, and trying to pick which ones and then exactly where I want them to be. Now, I'm not exactly sure where these gemstones came from, the little ones. They just have been in my craft stash, I'm sure for quite some time. I'm going to add some of them here. I started with 3 and I thought that was enough, and then I decided that I needed some more. I don't mind the open space that you see, but I just thought it needed a little bit more filling. And so I was placing them around trying to decide, and then when I was satisfied, I pulled them off, and I'm using my little tool from Scrapbook.com. This is a new one that has the poker part, and then also there is a pickup stick on the other end that has kind of a wax tip, which has been fun. So I've got a little bit of those kind of scattered around those flowers. All right, well, thanks for sticking with me. I know that was a lot of detail in a short amount of time. I tried to keep my video brief, but I hope you enjoyed some of the techniques I used and some of the designs that I came up with. If you happen to pick up this set, be sure to leave me a comment if you have any questions. Let me know if you have a favorite one of these 4. I really had a good time with them. It's a beautiful stamp set. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.